Yo, welcome. I am Robert Faringo. He is Nolan Patrick with Strike Point Sports. We are here talking a little NBA midweek action. Be sure to check us out at docsports.com. That's docsports.com. And if you're feeling frisky, click on the link down below, and you will get $60 free to use towards any package for any handicapper in any sport on our site. Generally, our daily picks packages cost about $30. So for $60, you can get 2 days free or kick in an extra 30 or 40 bucks and you're rolling for a week. So, all right, Nolan, first I just got to say this was not planned, people. We're not that cheeseball. But this also shows just how mind melded we are. We are really in sync right now that we inadvertently wore the same shirt. So, all right, Nolan, you won 3 picks in a row, then you lost 3 picks in a row. How are you feeling right now with the NBA when you're seeing the board?
This is obviously something you don't want to be part of as a handicapper. You don't ever want to be on a losing streak. Nobody likes to be on one. But, we're used to this. We've been doing this for well over a decade. It's something that we go back to the drawing board, we get more focused, and we put out the winning picks that the people deserve.
All right, trade deadline is the big issue coming up in the NBA right now. How much do you try and factor that into the picks that you're making this week? It's really difficult to try and get in the minds of these players and say, oh, are they worried about being traded versus our team's going to start sitting players because they may be traded. Do you just tune all of that stuff out and focus on the games as you would any other time of the year? Or is there a little bit extra that goes into your handicap?
There might be a little bit extra, but overall, we really try to stay away from who's going to get traded and where are they going to go. 2 perfect examples are, Andre Drummond and LaMarcus Aldridge, who have just been healthy scratches because, they're waiting to see if they're going to get traded or probably just bought out, to be honest, because of the size of their contracts. So if there's a specific game that we're worried about a player getting traded or bought out, like we just said, we might shy away from that game. But overall, we look at the lines the way they're set and we know why they're set that way. So we try to shy away from games that we're worried a guy might sit due to trades and find the sharp action elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a whole cottage industry that's set up around NBA trade rumors. There's some sites that specifically operate as feeding grounds for that type of speculation. You really can't let it get in your head. Just call it like you see it, play what's in front of you, play what's on the board. Don't start trying to, play some kind of 12-dimensional chess with what's going to happen at the trade deadline. Just let the chips fall where they may. Now, one of the teams that has a lot of talk about potential trades right now is Boston. They're heading to Milwaukee on Wednesday night, which, a game 2 months ago looked like it would have been a huge game in the Eastern Conference. But Boston just isn't there. They're barely above 500. They're 1-4 straight up in their last 5 games. They're coming off a tough overtime loss at Memphis, and now this is their game in 4 nights. What are you seeing when you're looking at the Celtics heading into Milwaukee?
The Celtics have just been a really interesting team all year, and now Kemba Walker sat out Monday night due to rest. Jason Tatum actually sat out Monday night due to a sickness. They said he's really, really dizzy and dealing with dizziness. So Tatum might not even play again versus Milwaukee. So this is a really interesting matchup. News is Giannis might miss this game again due to his knee sprain. So this is a game that you thought was going to have all these marquee players, and now all of a sudden a lot of guys might not be playing tomorrow night in that game.
Where do you think this number comes in at?
It'll be interesting. It's going to come down to Giannis, I truly believe. Even if Tatum and Walker play, we see Walker play, and Tatum we really don't know because, as any of us have dealt with, dizziness is a really interesting thing to have. We think Tatum will play. We don't think Giannis is going to play. The Bucks still looked really good without Giannis. Chris Middleton had a big game. Drew Holiday had a big game. Pat Connaughton had a huge game. He hit 6 threes the other night in an easy Bucks win. Even if he doesn't play, we still see the Bucks being a 5-6 point favorite, and we like Milwaukee there, even if Giannis doesn't play.
Yeah, you and I have talked about this plenty of times. You see it all the time in the NBA. Star player, superstar player sits out. You get that short-term bump, okay, where the value of the team, the number would be adjusted 3 points based on whether Giannis is playing, at least. So we might get that lower number, but everybody in that Bucks locker room is going to want to step their game up to compensate for their star player not being on. Now, over a longer period of time, a month, 2 months, you start to miss a guy that's back-to-back MVPs. Right. But in the short term, you can actually find value betting on these teams. And Milwaukee's been red hot right now. They've won 7 straight. They've won 12 of 13. But one thing that's really interesting about the Bucks right now is that they're winning games, but they're not beating the spread. They're only 4-6 against the spread in their last 10 games. And even during this 12-1 run, they're 7-6 against the spread. What do you see going on there compared to like when Utah went on that big run earlier in the season and they were covering every night? What's the difference here?
I think it's the way they play, to be honest with you. The way Utah plays, and when they were rolling, when they were destroying teams, they were passing the ball around. Their offense was so efficient. They took care of the ball, they made threes, and they just played basketball that a lot of teams couldn't keep up with. So in the end, Utah would wear you down and they would blow you out of the water. They were winning games 15, 16, 17 points. Milwaukee has a tendency to get a little sloppy. They have a tendency to get a little loose with what they're doing. And Giannis, for all of his amazing ability, he's not the type of player that's going to hit 2, 3, 4 3-pointers in a row and blow a game open. They do have Chris Middleton that can knock down shots, and Pat Connaughton can, like he did the other night. But overall, Milwaukee is more that team that's going to kind of grind and pound and wear you down in the half court, and you don't really pull away big in those games. Although we think that they're going to have an easy time with the Celtics tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point about the style of play. Also, I think Milwaukee, having been so good for these last couple of years, the books are kind of onto them. They start to roll 3, 4, 5 wins in a row together. The books are going to pump those numbers up quickly. Where that Utah run earlier in the season really kind of came out of nowhere. So, okay, right. Speaking of Utah, huge game with them against Brooklyn. Again, looks like a huge game on paper at home, but who's playing for the Nets? Who knows what's going on with the Nets? Harden is questionable, neck injury. Irving is questionable, just being a weirdo. I shouldn't say that. Personal issues. Durant is still out with his hamstring. Okay. Despite all of this with the Nets, all of the the expected drama, the hype, say whatever you want, they've been remarkably consistent. I mean, they've won 15 out of 17 games, and they've been really good against the spread in general. So, what are you expecting out of them going into Utah?
I think it's going to be tough. I think this is not a game that the Nets are going to find a ton of success. The Nets are finding success because James Harden, for all the talk about Joel Embiid and LeBron James and all these guys going for the MVP, I mean, is there anyone playing at a more MVP level than James Harden right now? He has no Kevin Durant. Kyrie Irving has been in and out of the lineup, yet the Nets just keep winning and winning and winning. And James Harden is putting up ridiculous numbers, playing as efficient as he ever has in his career. So, I mean, Harden is keeping them afloat. Kyrie is not playing in this game. He's going to miss all 3 games of this road trip for the Nets for his family matters. Nice little sitcom right there from back in the day. So he is not going to play here. And Landry Shamet looks like he's not going to play in this game either, who is just a few more points off the bench. Brooklyn's just not going to have the horses here, and Utah's going to win this game.
You think Harden will play, though? I see he's questionable. Are you expecting him to play in this game?
I think there's a chance. I think that there's a pretty good chance he plays. I'd say about 75% chance he plays. I mean, goodness gracious, if he doesn't, I might call Brooklyn, try to drive down there and see if I can get a couple minutes myself, because they're not going to have many people left.
Well, again, assuming Harden plays, where are you anticipating that number is going to come in?
If Harden plays, and obviously Kyrie's not going to play, we see the Jazz as being a pretty big favorite. We see him being 7.5-point favorites in that game, 8-point favorites in that game. Harden's awesome. The way he plays is amazing. He can keep his team in the game. Utah's just too good. They're just too good.
Okay, they are too good. However, they've definitely come back to earth after their monster run. They're only 5-5 in their last 10 games. They're only 3-7 against the spread in those 10 games. Do we worry about Houston? Do we not worry about Houston? Are they still in a funk? Again, what's your thoughts going into a really big game? I mean, Utah's the number 1 team in the West right now, 31 wins. Brooklyn's number 2 in the East, 29 wins. This is a marquee game. Is Utah going to show up to play in this game, or are they just kind of tripping over their own feet right now?
I don't think so. I think Utah's going to come to play. Brooklyn's also on a back-to-back. They're going to be coming into this game on a back-to-back. And Utah just finished, I believe it was a 4 or 5 game road trip, and now they're home for 4 or 5 games in a row. And this is really the biggest game of their homestand, and they're going to want to start on a positive note. So, yeah, they struggled, but they struggled against some good teams. And like we said, they were on the road. Utah's back at home, getting that home cooking. And this is the game they want to win. They want to show everybody that they are for real. They did trip up a bit, but they're going to be ready to go here.
Yeah, one of the things you and I have talked about and that we've noticed also over the last decade plus in betting on the NBA is that, these Eastern Conference teams, Utah is one of the toughest places, toughest environments for a road team in the NBA. Now, those Western Conference teams, they struggle in Utah. They're used to playing there. You get a team like Brooklyn where they're going to be a little bit out of their element. They're just not used to this environment, not used to this arena, and not used to seeing a Jazz team that's as good as this one is. I agree with you that it definitely could be some trouble for Brooklyn. I could see that one being a bloodbath. All right, last game, real quick, Atlanta at Sacramento. We got to talk about Atlanta because they're a team that I feel like you and I personally revived their season just by ragging on them in our earlier videos. That, and it might have a little something to do with Mr. Nate McMillan. I never understood why Indiana got rid of him after last season. He was a guy who just consistently had the Pacers playing better than their talent level. They consistently beat their Las Vegas season win total over-under. They were great against the spread team. Nate McMillan knows what's up, man, and we're seeing it with the Hawks. Atlanta finally lost a game against the Clippers, snapping that long winning streak. Now they're going to play at Sacramento. Do you think that they have a little bit of a letdown after that streak gets snapped, after playing against the Lakers and Clippers in back-to-back? Or do you think this team is just hot, small number in that game? I think they're going to be around a 3-point favorite. Do we keep riding the Hawks, or is this a letdown spot?
I'm gonna try to go as quick as I can here because I got a lot of stuff on this game because it's the Hawks. I got a lot of stuff, but I'm gonna go fast. I promise. The line opened at 1.5. It's already up to 3. The Hawks have gone 8-1 in their last 9 games. They lost to the Clippers. They were up 20 in that game. They were up 20 in the game against the Clippers and blew that lead to the Clippers. That's going to resonate a little bit. The thing that we don't like about this game, and we're either going to be on the Kings or we're going to be off it entirely, is this is a tough spot for the Hawks as they come in off the loss. It's their 3rd road game of an 8-game road trip, and the Hawks still end March at Golden State, at Denver, and at Phoenix. And then just right in the middle of it all, off a bad loss, is the Sacramento Kings, a team that can score the basketball if they need to. We're either on the Kings or we're staying away.
Yeah, interesting also about that game is that total is high. It's around 237, 236.5. One of the things that fueled Atlanta during this run is their defense. They're a top 10 defensive team. Nobody saw that coming heading into this season. Is there going to be some value betting on the under with the Hawks? Or as they're starting to get some pieces back, as they're starting to get rolling a little bit offensively, do you think that there's just too much firepower on the court in a game like this to even consider the total?
I would take the over if I had to. I'd probably stay away because I do think the Hawks, as they get healthy and guys are really starting to come into their own, I see them scoring the basketball. I would stay away from that total. It's interesting because that total is high. The Hawks, in a really tough spot right here. And at the very beginning of this, we talked about games that worry us a little bit because of the trade deadline. Collins nonstop is in trade rumor talk. Trade rumor talk, trade rumor talk, trade rumor talk. So that it's even though the Hawks are playing well, there's something about this game that stinks. And we would stay away from the total and probably lean Kings.
All right, everyone, again, click the link, $60 free, bang it, play it, get on it. Give them something else for free, Noel. Like, what? Give us something else. What else does Strike Point Sports have going on this weekend? And how about a free play? Something for the little people.
I'll tell you what we have going on this weekend. We're going to be cheering on Syracuse. We're going to be cheering on the Syracuse Orange. Come on, guys. Come on. Keep it rolling.
Absolutely.
But free play for you. We like Phoenix. Even though Phoenix is playing tonight, Orlando is also playing tonight. We got Phoenix and Orlando tomorrow night. Both teams are going to be coming into the game off a back-to-back. Both teams are going to be playing their third game in 4 nights. Phoenix is going to be playing 2 back-to-back road games. Orlando is going to be playing 2 back-to-back home games. We think the line's going to be about 6, 6.5, depending on what happens tonight. But we love the Suns in the back-to-back road games. They are 8-1 against the spread in their 9 back-to-back games this year. So we like the Phoenix Suns over the Orlando Magic tomorrow night.
I mean, you got to love that. Orlando's one of those teams right now, too, where no bet against Orlando is a bad bet. So, all right. He's Nolan Patrick with Strike Point Sports. I am Robert Fringo. Find us both at DocSports.com. Be sure to check us out next week for another midweek NBA video. In the meantime, carpe diem and good luck.